was a book by James Bradley called The China Mirage. This is the same guy that wrote Flags of Our Fathers, and I found it in a bookstore in Oxford, Mississippi, and figured everything we're doing with China, it was kind of an interesting read for me, but it talks about some of the falsehoods that misguided our China policy and our Japan policy, quite frankly, from the late part of the 19th century through to the time just after World War II. And it sort of was an interesting expose on how many of the decisions we made actually led to the beginning of World War II.
So I read several, but my favorite was The Mothers by Britt Bennett. And it reminded me, if you read All the Light We Cannot See, it's very lyrical in her writing, her style is beautiful. But the topic is very contemporary. It's set in Southern California, and the Mothers is actually a group of women in the community. And it's a story about community and friendship and support.
Shiloh, did you like it? What did you like about it?
Well, just the connection between the dog and the person.
Cool. What about you? Why'd you like Pippi?
I liked it because it was like a bunch of stories in one book.
Yeah.
And my mom did Pippi stockings, mom's stockings too.
Oh, good. So you guys read it together?
It was her favorite book to choose with.
Oh, great.
I enjoyed Brave New World.
Brave New World?
I liked 1984, it was weird.
Well, it was a busy summer, so I decided I would take on War and Peace, and that's a joke. Actually, I wanted to read about Ronald Reagan. One of my friends gave me a book, Reagan, The Life by H.W. Brand. Yes, I think the biggest thing that I learned about Reagan from the book was how much his early life influenced the things that he did and the way that he thought. And I think as a school person, I really think that's why it's so important that those early formative years are filled with things that can be character forming and really lay the foundations that later on will lead someone to do good or great things. And that's why I'm a big fan of this place.
Bad in the Hat. That's a good one. What about you, Kim?
I don't really have one.
You don't have one? Did you like any of them?
Brave New World.
Brave New World?
Probably Tales of the Fourth Grade Gun.
Search for Delicious.
Search for Delicious. You like that one? Well, that's good. That's like the main book.
I know what you're really
So you guys are starting 4th grade.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Magic Tree House.
Okay, what about you, buddy?
I like one of the Magic Tree House books, Night on the Titanic.
Okay, cool. You like reading?
I read lots of things, but one of my favorites was probably The Handmaid's Tale that I read this summer. I'd never read that one. It's been on the list for a while and wanted to read it. I actually listened to it. I actually listened to a narrated version on Audible, which was fantastic.
Who is the narrator?
Claire Danes.
Oh.
Interestingly enough, yes. And she was very good. It was really well done. It was interesting. One of those you kind of can't stop listening to because it's so compelling. You want to find out what exactly is going on or what connections there are or what's going to happen. You know it's not going to be good, but what is it going to be exactly?
What did I read this summer? Well, I read this book called A Splendid Exchange about trade. I asked my AP students to read it, and I loved it, so I reread it again this summer. It was great. I learned a lot again. I also actually read the first book in the Game of Thrones series. And watching the show, I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick up the book. I ordered it on Kindle.
You swiped the book.
So I read it this summer.
Shoeshine Girl.
Shoeshine Girl? What was it about?
This girl had to go to her aunt's, and she had to go to her aunt's, and she didn't want to,
Undaunted Courage by Stephen Ambrose, which is about the Lewis and Clark crossing of the United States around the year 1800, and learned a lot about that and the courage and the difficulty and the details that went into that crossing, and it made for a great summer book.
I read a book called Blood River by Tim Butcher, and Tim Butcher, he's an adventure writer, and he traveled or traversed the extent of the Congo River.